This is Infection, the survival podcast, recorded live on Tuesday, February 11th, 2020, episode 265. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to another episode of Infection, the survival podcast. Infection is your source for the latest information on survival video games. We bring you the latest news, reviews, updates, and more each and every week. My name is Nick Craig, slightly under the weather. You can follow me on Twitter at Nicholas M. Craig. Of course, you can visit my IT website, dudeinit.com. Lots of hot topics coming out of that website. And of course, our website for the podcast. It's infectionpodcast.com. Joining me as he does each and every week, looking good, Brian with a beard. Brian, it's not really a beard. What would you call that? It's like the start of a beard.
Yeah, it's a beardling, maybe.
That sounds very unmasculine. What's the a beardly? It's like it's like one of those man purse. I have a man purse.
It's the beginnings of a beard, but I'll probably shave it like tonight or tomorrow.
You're looking good, Brian. So I just wanted to say.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, hey, if you want to find me
anytime, I'll tell you anytime you need it. Anytime.
Your beard looks great too.
I appreciate it.
If you want to find me at Voice to Computer on Twitter, of course, my blog. I can check that out, biteoftech.com. Make sure you go to our website, though, as Nick said, infectionpodcast.com. And on there, on the right-hand side, you'll notice that there's a button that says join our server on Discord. If you do that, you can go through and get a channel that you can submit news to. That's nice because if you have a topic you want us to cover, maybe some news pops up, you can put that in the news channel. We always go look those over before every single episode. Also, there's a Steam group if you want to get a notification right before the live show starts. If you happen to be sitting at your computer and you have Steam open, you get a little notification. You come join us live, be a part of the game giveaway, participate in the chat throughout the show. And that really is enjoyable. It is nice for us because we get a little bit of feedback. And sometimes when we're wrong, they'll say, hey, you're wrong. It's like, oh, okay, great. Thanks for letting us know.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Also, we have on there Twitch. We have Mixer, we have YouTube. So if you want to watch video formats of the show, but if you're going to listen to audio only after the fact, you can do that. And we have a whole set of links in the lower right-hand side for whatever platform you happen to be listening on. And then show notes now for 265 episodes of the show. So things that we talk about, maybe there's a video that we show that you're hearing and you want to see what it is, you can go ahead and jump onto our website and go check those out. If you want to support us, a couple ways you can do that is amazon.infectionpodcast.com. We have humble.infectionpodcast.com. And then what people have been doing through, for now, over 2 years. I mean, we have people doing 24-month subscriptions using Twitch Prime. So if you want to do that, you can jump onto our Twitch channel and then subscribe to us with your Twitch Prime. It won't cost you anything out of pocket, and it really helps us because that's what pays for our trips to PAX.
Yes, sir.
Or wherever we may be going this year. So
absolutely. And speaking of one of those people, coming in 24, not one, not two, not even 20 months, 24 straight months. Our good friend Saul Greatman hitting us up with the resubscription here on Twitch. Thank you very much, Saul. We greatly appreciate it, and everybody else
thank you.
That has subbed, is subbing, and is subbing in the future. We appreciate your support of the program over the last 5 years, which is what it's been. Pretty crazy. Game of the week. I'm thinking since there was a big update this week for today, there's like a 70 gigabyte update for Call of Duty. We'll be doing that for Game of the Week. I'll be in there. We'll get a couple of other guys in there. So Game of the Week is going to be Call of Duty. And
I'm sure they fixed everything.
Well, they added some new maps, which is cool. Unfortunately, we've got so much news. I don't think we'll get to it on today's show, which is fine. So we'll be doing that Friday night. Hopefully you'll join us for that. Make sure if you're going to join us, update openbattle.net before Friday night, because you'll be like, 750. Let's play COD. And you'll be like, damn it. I got 70 gigs I got to download. So make sure you check that out before Friday night. And we'll, as Brian reminded me, Valentine's Day.
Yes. Brian,
I've got an important question for you.
Yes.
Will you be my Valentine?
Question. Yeah, I'll be your Valentine.
Okay, we're in. That's going to be the cover.
I don't want to leave you hanging there.
I appreciate that. That means a lot. So if you're around Friday
next year, I expect you to have your own Valentine, though. So come on, you got 1 year.
I'll ask somebody in the chat. Saul will be my Valentine.
As long as you send me flowers, it'll be all right.
Okay, I can make it happen. hopefully you'll join us for that. Okay, so last week on the program, we talked about a game, a specific game, Escape from Tarkov.
Yes.
And I said, hey, if you are a Tarkover, somebody that plays Escape from Tarkov, please reach out to me. So a friend of ours, Phantom24, sent me a Discord message last week and said, hey, you asked somebody to reach out. What's up? So I asked him a couple questions, and this was kind of his little synopsis of Tarkov. He said, if you only have time to devote like an hour every few days, I would say no. It probably takes 30 to 40 minutes per raid between pre-raid and in-raid and post-raid stuff. But if that time commitment is more like a session or two of a few hours on a weekend, then yeah, it's worth it. The game has so many mechanics and systems to learn, and as you know, the learning curve is so steep. So while you're right that you don't lose progression by not playing, which is what we talked a lot about last week, it wouldn't be a fun experience if you only have time for a few raids a week because your progress would be painstakingly slow. It's a game that kind of requires binging and sinking in hours at a time. I work full-time and probably play 2 to 3 hours a day for 5 or 6 days a week. It's one of those games that either hooks you immediately and you find time to play it, or you play it once and hate it. So I thought that was a pretty good synopsis of that. And we chatted a little bit, and I said, all right, $45. I said, I'll wait for the next sale. And like, 3 days later, I get a message Sunday morning from our good friend Saul Greatman. He's like, hey man, what are you thinking about Tarkov? I was like, well, it's $45. I'm not going to buy it. He goes, well, the Escape from Tarkov. It's a game. People are playing it. I was like, yeah, but it's $45. So nevertheless, like 15 minutes later, I'm downloading the game. So I purchased Tarkov. It's like $52 after you add all your bullshit taxes in there. They charge you a $3 credit card processing fee. That's ridiculous. I hate that. Okay. Would you agree, Brian, that the cost of doing business is your credit card processing fee? Like, that's an expense. That's like charging people for the electricity that you use.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing this from Russia, so I assume that they're using some Russian credit card processor.
But nevertheless, like, just build that into the damn price. I hate if I was buying, like, you're going to a store and it'll say minimum $10 credit card. Fine.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. You do have to pay a fee. But when I'm spending $45 and then you're going to tax on like another $3 for a credit card processing fee, that kind of pisses me off. That's a more than enough sum of money that you can eat the very small percentage that you're getting charged by your credit card processor. So that I'm not, it's not ridiculous. I don't know, rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah.
Just build into the price of the game. So nevertheless, $42 later, or $52 later.
So you didn't get the Edge of Darkness limited edition?
No, Brian.
$140?
No, I've been buying other things. So no, I did not do that. But so I got the standard edition. It was like $52. It's not on Steam, which of course I had to rag our friend Saul about because he's Mr. Anti-Launcher. And I was like, well, how are you playing this? I don't like Epic Launcher. So, it's not on Steam. So you have to make an account for that. It's fine. You buy through their website. Pretty quick download. And I decided, hey, let's give this a try. So Saul and I jumped in there and we had our friend Phantom, who, by the way, has been like the best tour guide. Like imagine imagine going to a foreign land. Bro. Yeah. You don't speak the language. You don't know the people. They're all different. And then there's this gleaming light in the distance, and it's your tour guide who speaks your language and knows everything about you. That's what Phantom has been. He's been walking us through, like, from knowing absolutely nothing to where we still know nothing, but we know a lot more than we did before because the game is incredibly complex. So props to him who's been babying us through. By the way, he killed Saul the other night. It was pretty funny. He was like, oh, there's an enemy right there. And then he killed Saul. It was pretty funny. So he's been walking us through that. I've been playing with our friend Saul. Kramit in the chat, who has been playing for a while, says, I've been playing a bunch lately. Upgraded the video card and hard drive for Christmas. bought it as a new game to test the hardware and pretty much been playing it as my only game since. It's a rather interesting game, Brian.
Yeah.
The game's been out for a while, so I'll give you my high level view of it. I'm not going to spend an hour talking about it. The game, everybody else is playing the game, so I don't want to beat the dead horse. But the game is so stimulating. That's what I walked away with. Everything in the game, from the inventory management to the sun and the reflections that it casts on the ground, is stimulating. It is not a game like Call of Duty, Brian, where you sit back in your chair and you can, be screwing around on Instagram or something between kills. That ain't happening. You got your headset on, you're focused, you're in the zone. If somebody coughs into their microphone, you jump in your chair because it's loud and you're listening for stuff. Incredibly stimulating. You want to talk about immersion, Brian? This game is immersion central. You've got to get in on this at some point because the immersion is incredible. You grab USB sticks out of the front of computers and download the data. Very, very. It's got a lot of immersive elements to it.
Well, and I think that having that, as you said, a tour guide. I think that for one reason with 7 Days to Die, that's why we enjoy it so much, is because we had Heisenberg who sat down that first time with our group and said, "Hey, here's the basics. Here's how you deal with the first day, the first night. Here's how you deal with the seventh night," and kind of took us through that process to where we had an idea of what we were doing. So it wasn't us just fumbling around, dying a whole bunch, or not accomplishing anything. So I think that makes a big difference. And so if we have people that are actually playing it, where they can go through and kind of teach you how to do it, because that sounds like it is fairly complicated. It sounds like a little bit like how WoW is in a way, as far as WoW, great game, but the things you have to be willing to commit that time to it. If you don't commit that time, as he was saying before, you're just not going to get that, oh, I'm enjoying this feeling. You have to put in a certain amount of time to have it be worth doing it, because you won't accomplish anything if you don't.
Yeah. So without going into the nitty-gritty detail of it, everything in the game is instant. Everything is instanced in the fact that you join what everybody calls a raid, which is a set event that you bring gear into. You perform the raid, you complete a task, and you try to escape. That's how the game plays. There is no there's no open world element like a WoW or a Rust or an Ark. That doesn't really exist. You select a specific portion of the map and a time setting, so morning or day or night, and then you load into that instance of either the server, the map, whatever you're loading into. So in that regard, it's not persistent, which is beneficial. The other thing is the inventory management, which is in itself the whole game. You have very limited inventory space with the base version of the game, and early on in the game, if you don't know what is worth anything, you end up hoarding garbage, and you're afraid to get rid of it because you don't know what it's worth. So Phantom's been super helpful with that as well, going like, hey, get rid of it, sell it. There's no reason to have it. And we've gotten some tricks from that. So, but outside of the inventory management and the game itself, once you get into a game, you're with either a group, or if you go in by yourself, you're by yourself, and you're either fighting against NPCs or other players, depending on what the mode of the game that you're in. And you work through it. You can spend as much time or as little time in a raid. There is a timer, but you could load in and start beelining it for an exit. You're not going to really get any XP from doing that. You have to fight. You have to run around and loot and kill people and do things to gain any experience. So for that to happen, you got to spend some time. You escape, you get killed, one or the other, your game ends. That's a very poor description, but that's kind of Tarkov.
Well, I mean, if you'll play it with me on Saturday, I'll buy it.
Okay, I'm in. Let's do it.
So, all right, that works.
Yeah.
I won't have time until then. That's why I'm saying Saturday, because I will be around.
So it is an interesting thing. He mentioned, Phantom mentioned in his thing, it's a game that it will either hook you or, you play it once and you hate it. Because it's so immersive, it's hard. I think it would be hard to instantly hate it. Saul's mentioning that it is not a battle royale. It's a survival looter. That is true.
Yeah.
You might not find an enemy. You might just be able to, run out and escape. So,
see, but that's the thing. It's like, for me, I view that as more realistic, because in this type of situation, I think that's a more realistic outcome, is that there is a possibility you won't run across anybody if it's a big map, not a huge map, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I think where you run into people all the time is not a realistic scenario.
Exactly. So, over the next couple weeks and couple months, I'll be giving you my opinions as they sway, as they change, as I find out more things. If you're looking for a great description of Tarkov, this is not the place to do it. I haven't played enough yet to articulate exactly what the game is. There's a bunch of beginner guides on YouTube. But I think that Saul and myself, and I'm going to sign him up, have played enough at this point that we could walk someone through the very beginning portions of the game. Thanks to Phantom, who's kind of shown us how to proceed. So that's Escape from Tarkov. Hashtag not a sponsor, but the hype is real, Brian. I'm all aboard the train. I'm up with the conductor, pulling the whistle. I'm ready to go.
Well, I'm always searching for like a good game that hooks you, that's playable even with friends, or however you want to do it.
Now, to be clear, it is still an early access game, beta, whatever the hell they call it, and there are still some big issues. For example, apparently every weekend, which I experienced on Sunday, every weekend the servers crap out. That's very frustrating to me. The game is not new.
Weird.
It's been out for 2 years. At this point in time, you need to be able to handle your server load. And we're not talking about 1 million people. We're talking about hundreds of thousands. So that stuff like that, to me,
no, maybe Russia has rolling brownouts.
Who knows what the hell's going on? So don't take this is not, if you are looking for an absolutely polished game like a Call of Duty or Red Dead Redemption, slam on the brakes, because this is not it. There's bugs. In the middle of one of the games raids I was in, the servers crashed. So on the middle of my screen, a 404 HTML page came up that I could not get rid of. So I was running through the map, getting shot at with this visor essentially over the middle of my screen. Game is very far from done. There are issues, but for something unique. I mean, Brian, we've talked a lot about this as of late. I don't feel like playing anything. It's boring. You just this monotony of all of
the thing
these
is,
games.
it's the same old. We've went through a long stream of games that were just variations of the game before it. Yeah. I mean, you could start it right at DayZ.
No, you can start it back.
I guess Arma.
Arma, DayZ,
and
War Z, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so you kind of follow that line down. And now you have where it's kind of ended up with the battle royale, and survival's kind of gone to the wayside. So it's kind of interesting to see a game that still has that survival element, where most of them have gotten rid of it, because I mean, usually they're catering to the streamers, they're catering to the flashy, quick action, which is fun. I mean, there's definitely a place for that, but that kind of open world, like what for us H1Z1 was originally, I think that's kind of gone. I mean, a lot of that has disappeared. So hopefully this kind of scratches that itch a little bit.
I think if you can get over the very high, not very high, but in comparison, the very high barrier to entry price. I mean, you're talking about, Brian, I don't buy many $60 titles every year. I may buy a couple just because so many games that we play, and so many games in general, are releasing at a $20 to $40 price range. I know I bought Call of Duty at $60.
Mm-hmm.
I think, obviously that was last year. I believe that was the only full price game I bought last year. Red Dead Redemption was the year before, right? That was 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, it was the very end of 2018.
Yeah. October 26, 2018. So in 2019, I believe the only $60 game I purchased was Call of Duty. So $52 is very high up there in terms of the games that we typically buy. So if you can get over that, now you might want to wait for a sale. Apparently they have some sales where the price may go down by a couple bucks here and there. So you might want to wait for that. I think Phantom wrapped it up pretty well. If you're willing to put in the time, it's a no-brainer. If you're hemming and hawing about it, you're probably better off not wasting the money. Not wasting. You're probably better off not spending the money. So there is my incredibly rough and jagged attempt to explain Escape from Tarkov over the past 2 days since I've purchased it. And now, of course, Call of Duty's just done a big update, so now I'm going to be playing that and lose all my progress in Tarkov because I'm going to forget everything. But it happens. What are you going to do?
Well, we'll play on Saturday and get some time in there and try it out. You guys can show me around.
Good luck. Rest in peace, my friend.
Yes. All right. You ready to jump in? Is there anything else you want to discuss before we move?
No. I think we got a lot of news this week, by the way.
Yes. So one thing, let's talk about EA a little bit here.
Oh, yeah.
One thing is EA has been kind of pushing games to Steam, right? And one thing is they've increased the regional prices of most of their games on Steam here recently. And this is, I don't know if this is to kind of even it out, and make it so that this is always higher, and maybe they will default to buying it through them, which then gives you probably a Steam key. I don't know if they're still pushing out to a launcher. But the prices have gone, for example, from $34.99. I think these are rubles. So, but just give you a rough idea, to like $79.99 rubles. There's, or euros, from like 9.99 euros to 19.99 euros. I mean, that's a pretty big jump. That's double, a little over double the price.
This is regional pricing for games, which is always something that's been interesting. For example, our friend Unicorn Joe, games in Aussie land are like almost $120 US. I mean, they're very, very expensive due to some of the regional change. Now, obviously, currency, dollar USD is not a dollar everywhere else. So
actually not rubles. So rubles would be $3.99 to $9.99. I don't know what's BRL. I have no idea what that is.
I couldn't tell you.
It's some other foreign country's currency. Maybe it's Brazil or something ridiculous.
I doubt it.
I think it's Canadian, European, and then there's pounds.
Actually, it is.
And then rubles.
It's Brazilian's currency.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
so anyway, whatever
I thought their currency would have been like, I don't know, something else. It's just
pesos.
BRL. No, not pay. That's just I don't know, BRL. Brazilian real is what it stands for. I don't know
Phantom
where the L
says 999 rubles. That's like enough for a bandage.
Yeah, peasant money. I've got millions of rubles in it. By the way, that's the default currency in Tarkov. I got millions of rubles.
Oh, yes.
I found a key yesterday in Tarkov that I killed. That Phantom killed some guy. I took the key, worth 1.4 million rubles.
Oh man, imagine how many games you could buy with those rubles.
I mean, that's what I'm thinking about doing. Cashing out. I'm going to sell it on eBay.
There you go.
Get my account banned.
So they've knocked up these prices quite a bit, and it'll be interesting to see. There has always been the kind of the controversy of pricing, especially with international things and conversions, and these prices change over time. I'm still not 100% sure why they've raised it for a lot of times double the price, sometimes even more, for some cases. So we'll have to see where that ends up going. But they may need this money because they've been hit with a lawsuit here recently for FIFA 20. And it's claiming that their Ultimate Team mode is gambling. And this is something that we've discussed over the years of these companies, and especially politicians, really pushing the whole gambling aspect of this, because they can then control games. Either they can make them take it out, or they can tax them in special ways, because, well, it's gambling, and gambling is a protected special thing that adults only, first of all. They could really threaten a company
not even adults. I live in North Carolina. You can't legally gamble anything here unless you're buying lottery tickets.
But I mean, even in places where you can gamble, they will hit them with you have to be a certain age. Well, FIFA is going to have a hard time enforcing that people that are playing their game and doing this special mode, if it's classified as gambling, are 21. I mean, we'll assume
18.
that they're going to say
18 or 21
or 18 or whatever the government here. Like, for instance, here they've actually raised the smoking age to 21.
That's federally.
The drinking age is 21. Did they do it everywhere?
Yeah,
I didn't know that until last 21. week.
Yeah. Why?
So
hanging out with some 18-year-olds and
no, I was looking at
cigarette. He said, "Hey,
actually, I was
sweetheart."
with my nephew. My nephew went to Costco and he mentioned something about it, and I looked down and the thing, it said 21. I was like, huh, I didn't even know.
Hey, Toots, go buy me a pack of cigs. Oh, you're 19. Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah, that'll be the test to make sure they're over 21. Can you go get me some cigarettes?
Some cigs.
I'm sorry, I can't. No, sorry.
Not interested. I have a beard. I'm not interested. Sorry.
Yeah, so I'm a man.
It's a man.
So, anyways, so this is something that I think part of it is a real issue, but I think also a lot of it is politics and them coming up with ways to control the video game industry, make more money off the video game industry. But I do get kind of frustrated when things just go 100% gambling. But I know your stance on this. My stance on this is you have the choice whether or not you buy that game. If you feel like it's gambling, don't buy it. I've never bought a FIFA anything.
I have. I've played a couple FIFAs, and it's been the FIFA packs for the Ultimate Teams have always been a thing. You see the videos on YouTube, or you probably have seen the thumbnails of like the guy freaking out in the thumbnail, and he's got Ronaldo, like, my Ultimate Team. That's been a thing since like 2012, from what I can remember. So that's not new. My fear with this, and I'm not going to beat the dead horse because we've already talked about it before,
we've discussed this,
is if you start saying that this is gambling, then would you not make the same argument that claw machines are gambling? What about those little things in, like you go to a diner and you can put a quarter in the machine?
I'll give where my line is, how I would say that this should be drawn. Okay. You could say that the claw machine is not totally a game of luck. You could say that there is a form of skill there because you actually have an effect on how it plays out. I think when you put a coin into a box and then at that point you no longer have control. But you could also say, okay, but what about card games? That's a game of skill. Those are still considered gambling. I think that there's two different forms of gambling. This is more of you put it in the slot, you pull the handle, something comes out. There's not a game of skill involved in that.
What about at like local mom and pop restaurants? They've got the little machines with the little things, and you put a quarter in it and turn it, and it spits out like an eraser or a bouncy ball or something. How is that? That's gambling, no?
As long as there's a guarantee, I think where they would probably pull
there's a guarantee.
Is there a guarantee?
Yes. Now you make it shitty players, which is what you get, but there is a guarantee. That's the craziest
that for me
thing.
Is where I don't think that it is gambling. I think that you can put a sense of rarity, but if there is a chance that you won't get anything, I think that's when it's gambling. Make it so you always win something.
Shimmed level in the chat says, unlike claw machines in gambling, you might win. Now that's an accurate statement because claw machines are bullshit and this is ridiculous. Yeah. But yes, in all of these games that we've talked about, Overwatch, FIFA, there is never a situation in which you buy a $20 something and you get nothing. You don't open it and it goes, sorry, empty box. No. Like that doesn't happen. And it doesn't happen in CSGO or any of those other Team Fortress 2 either. You open a crate, you probably get a crappy item, but you get an item. Yeah. So that's where my gambling line is. When you pay money for something, Brian, blackjack. You play blackjack, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
You ante up with your chips. You're probably going to lose them. Pretty good chance. Yeah. The house has got better.
You'll lose all of them.
Yeah,
your house has got come out with nothing in the end.
60% is the house's typical likelihood of winning a hand in blackjack. There's a very high probability you don't get anything. In FIFA and all of these other loot box games, there is a 100% guarantee you get something.
Yeah,
something. Now it's probably going to be It's probably going to be nothing you want, but it's something. So I have a really hard time. I enjoy gambling, Brian. I love going out to Las Vegas. I really do enjoy gambling. I like playing poker. I like playing slot machines. That's gambling. Getting crappy players in FIFA 2020 is not gambling. Under no conceivable way can I call it gambling. Now, you want to make an argument about ethics? Okay, maybe. But gambling is, to me, that's just way too extreme.
I think the border of this, though, is what we were starting to see in H1Z1. Where there was a real money value on these items, when you were allowed to then sell them back onto the market. I think that was where it kind of skirts the line. If you're winning something that you don't have the ability to sell, maybe you can trade it in. You can trade it in, and you could trade it. But the thing is, if you can kind of put it into the churn thing, like that, how H1Z1 kind of went towards the end, I think that makes more sense. Let them churn it in, and then they can use those tokens to have more chances at it. But I think when we have the real world value of, they could turn around on Steam Marketplace, sell something that they got for $200, $300, that's where it kind of starts to edge on gambling for me. I just think there should be no way for you then to sell and make money on those, because I was doing this. That's how I paid for one of my editions of WoW, was with Diablo, when they were allowing you to play, win items, and then sell them. At least with there, I just had to play and I could win these things. I didn't have to put any money into it.
I don't disagree with you. Economies I don't really have an issue with. For example, Counter-Strike's got, I think, probably one of the largest economies, and people can sell knives for thousands of dollars, and I never hear the cry against Steam about that.
But I think Steam kind of enables that partial gambling, having it to where you can sell an item like we saw in H1Z1 for real money, gets people to where they feel like they're investing something for real money. And that's where I get worried. I mean, if I don't care what you do for a video game, if you're dumping money into it to get a character that's for you. But I think the second that you can turn around and then sell that really rare thing to someone else for money, that's where this kind of comes into play. So that's my concern.
Excellent. Well, interesting stuff coming out of EA. We'll keep an eye on it, and we'll let you know if anything arises. Yes. Now, Brian, we've got to get our plug in here for the Epic Game Store, as they fund this program very, very substantially from a financial aspect. That's why this great new video production that we do, everything comes from the Epic Game Store. By the way, I had a new springtime microphone this week. Put that on there. Yeah, that was Epic Game Store. Nice. Money. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
There's
Sweeney.
what? Yeah, thanks.
I said thanks, Sweeney.
There's an article here on Video Game 24/7, and there is a couple of games that have Epic Game Store exclusives that have disappeared from the Epic Game Store, and nobody knows why. Now, being the Epic shill that I am, this headline is a little misleading in what is going on. It is accurate that games are going away, but if you dig through the story, one of the games, Paranoia, Happiness is Mandatory, like, the game disappeared, the developers' Twitters stopped posting, they don't respond to any emails. This seems to be more of somebody maybe closing shop than Epic removing a game, or them removing a game from Epic. Like, they've gone complete radio silence, which is odd. Now, it did in fact go away from the Epic Game Store, but there's been nothing. There's a Facebook page. People ask questions. Nobody responds. It appears the company itself something is happening. I don't know. Maybe they're being sued. I have no idea what's happening. But apparently a couple games like this have disappeared. Now, my kind of a counterpoint to this was how many games on Steam have done maybe similar things, but because there's so many games, you don't notice it.
You don't notice them, yeah.
Yeah.
But one thing,
that quantity thing.
Yeah, one thing I'm curious on here is, does Epic, when they get exclusivity, do they just do an outright payment in the beginning, or is what I would hope they're doing is that they're getting exclusivity and they're saying at the end, or throughout the exclusivity, we will make payments, whatever agreed thing, because you wouldn't want them making a payment out like this to a company and then them folding shop after they got the payment and never actually producing the game.
Agreed.
I would hope that there's some sort of protections in there to where this isn't playing into that. We're like, oh, I got money, and then we're going to either not ever post it to Epic or whatever. I'm sure they've got some paperwork in there protecting against this.
Yeah, I can't imagine they're just dumping millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands and saying, make game. Don't screw us.
No strings.
Yeah. So that yeah, I find that to be interesting that like the company itself seems to have kind of disappeared.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand how sometimes there will be a lot of pressure on a company because they went exclusive on a platform and then they're trying to save face, and so they've been changed our mind. But a lot of these, as you said, aren't. There's other things happening. I don't think it's necessarily anything wrong with Epic Game Store itself. Maybe people pressuring outside of Epic Game Store, which still has nothing to do with Epic Game Store, honestly.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, these companies have to produce the game for Epic to put it on there. And, they have to just agree to make it exclusive for a period of time. There's a lot of games coming off of exclusivity now. There's, those time periods have passed. And a lot of these ones that were exclusive are now showing up on Steam. So it does happen.
Absolutely. Just thought it was interesting. If you see anything or you notice anything or read an article or something, please let us know. I think PH posted this in Discord. So thanks to him for posting that and throwing it on our radar. We appreciate it.
Yes. So there is a studio, THQ Nordic, and they've launched a new studio.
Oh.
And so I think, well, THQ, I assume they kind of count that as the publisher, probably. It's a network. I mean, it's multiple studios that do that. So this new one is Nine Rocks Games. Okay. They've already got some others that are part of it. And this is just an additional studio in there. But this is going to be focusing on a survival shooter game. So this division is specifically doing a survival shooter game. So this will be interesting. The lead studio chief is the previous developer from one of the previous developers from DayZ. So I don't know if that's exactly a selling point. But
well, we got to remember.
I mean,
if you're developing in that atmosphere, you're talking about a very hardcore survival game, minus all of its flaws. Very hardcore.
Yeah. So this is going to be, he's going to be helping with that. So he's the lead studio, or he will lead the studio's chief executive officer. And then they're going to start kind of growing their team out. So we should be seeing from this a new survival game. So this is something that we sometimes have long periods of time with no real survival games being released. The survival games are more few and far between. Everything seems to be battle royales and whatever else. So be interesting to see what game they actually produce.
And you're talking about a incredibly well-known studio or publisher, THQ Nordic. These guys have been at PAX every year. These guys are incredibly well-known. They've got subsidiaries all over the country. That'll be very, very interesting to see what comes out of this.
Yeah. I mean, so as an example, these guys did Darksiders. There's like a number of those ones. The MX versus ATV, a racing game. They have Red Faction, Titan Quest, Biomutant, Wreckfest, Gothic, Elix, and some more games beyond that. I mean, we've gone and played some of the games that they've been a part of when we were at PAX.
Yeah, pretty legit. Well, we don't see many AAA developers and or publishers dipping their toes into the survival aspect.
Well, and these guys have 130. They own over 130 franchises. I mean, like Saints Row, they have that.
That's THQ.
Dead Island, Metro, that whole series. So Satisfactory.
My favorite.
Yeah,
Epic Games Store exclusive.
Took right off. My nephew played quite a bit of Wreckfest. That's actually a pretty fun game.
Get wrecked.
So, well, and what's interesting about Wreckfest is the vehicles are the damage is incredibly realistic. So, like, you'll hit one little section of it, and the car just like will crumple there. It's not like set when you take damage like this. The bumper falls off. Like, it actually has realistic damage, and it's doing that for like 50 cars at once. I thought it was so crazy just as a developer looking at like how in the world are they handling all of this processing of damage and then making it happen without it lagging like crazy. And they did a really good job. However, they did that.
How big of an expert are you in damaging portions of cars?
I mean, I've looked at it. I've looked at the technology to do it.
No, I mean like in real life.
Oh no, I don't.
You said it's very realistic.
It is very realistic as far as how.
How do you know?
I mean, go watch if you go watch one of those like bumper car or like what are they? When
bumper cars,
not bumper cars, but when they the derbies,
the derby, yeah,
like where they just sit there and smash derby?
It. Yeah, those are fun.
Yeah, it's like that. Like the damage that happens, it's this exactly how you would think when you impact a certain way on the car. It does the damage exactly like that. So it's a pretty cool game.
Brian, that's actually where I was going to ask you out for our Valentine's Day date. Was a car
destruction derby,
demolition derby. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that'll be a great time.
Well,
I'll make sure I'll get my plane ticket.
Well, you can go. Wow, look at how realistic this is. Is close to Wreck Yourself or whatever the name of the game is.
Wreckfest, yes.
Yeah, close enough.
You're gonna wreck yourself. It's like PAX 2019 all over again.
Oh Jesus. So no, very cool to see that. Well, okay, so maybe it's cool to see that the survivor genre, because I think we talked about this. Yeah. Well, yeah, we talked about this right around the beginning of the year, maybe late last year. What is the future of this little group of games that we talk about going to be? Because there really hasn't been many new survival games in the past year, and to see that somebody like THQ Nordic is going. By the way, they're starting a brand new studio, which means this isn't a couple guys in a dorm room building a video game. You're talking about launching an entire new studio. You're talking about investing tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars total. With that, you don't just throw. They're not just throwing some stuff against the wall. They're trying to make a legitimate big time survival game, from what I would guess.
And this group, I mean, they have over 3,000 employees at THQ. Yeah. And so this is a legitimate studio. So hopefully they put out some really cool game and add something else to the survival genre. Because as you said, it's been a while since we've had a legitimately new survival game that's actually AAA level.
Bingo. So there you go. Keep an eye out for that. Where do you want to go from here?
All right, so let's talk about a game called Magnificent 5, and this is on Steam. Okay. I want you to scroll down a little bit to the reviews and see if you notice anything.
Next. Yes. This game is just like Red Dead Redemption. Just remove the words red and redemption, but keep dead, because that's what this game is. That's pretty funny.
So this game,
literally unplayable.
Yeah.
Cash grab.
Yes. Okay. So guess who has something to do with making this game?
Is it somebody that I know? Like is it somebody that we would know from games that we've talked about?
There are other games that have been made by these same people.
Is it the World War Z people? The War Z people?
War Z, yes.
Yes.
And remember they did they made the original, that Western game, which then bombed. They then did a weird rendition of it with robots or with steampunk, which I haven't heard anything about. And then this is the 100-player massive battlefield, pretty much a BR. It's the BR for that game. So it's Magnificent 5, and you have 5-player teams, and then you do a BR, and it's made by the War Z people. So
now, to be fair, it is free. So
I'm sure there's things you're paying for somewhere, but
I mean, you probably can.
I haven't looked inside to see what their, what kind of things you can actually purchase. As long as you can't purchase. My worry with this company is that you can actually purchase better guns. I mean, just with their track record, I have a feeling that what you can purchase and where they're making their money is you actually purchase better weapons, bullets. Yeah, you might. Who knows?
But I have a hard time, and maybe you get what you pay for, Brian, and in a lot of things. I have a hard time coming after a game. Now, by the way, okay, this game has been out for 19 days.
Yes.
I want you to close your eyes and guess 3 numbers for me. How many people are playing right now? The 24-hour peak for the game in the last 24 hours, and then the all-time peak, which has been in the last 19 days.
Okay, I think there's 20 players. I think there's been a peak of 50 players
in 24 hours.
In 24 hours. I think the all-time peak was probably 75.
Okay. You're close on the all-time peak.
Okay.
Currently playing, there are 2 people currently playing.
That's a little bit high.
There's like 7 times more people watching this podcast right now than playing this game. The 24-hour peak is 18. You said 50, so that's a little bit lower. But the all-time peak is 55, which you were pretty close at 75. So,
yeah,
a disaster.
I mean, but they keep on trying. What I find odd is they make a new developer and publisher for every single title they release, because there's so much trash talk of their studio that every time they do it, like if you notice this, their developer and publisher is Free Reign Entertainment LLC.
Yeah.
All those other things that doesn't exist anywhere else. So they make a new LLC every time they release a game or make any kind of a little mini, sub whatever of a game. And it's just weird. The company's so weird. Like they could make a real game if they just tried. I mean, they're like halfway there.
So isn't the map? It's supposed to be 100 players in a game, and the max players is half of an entire server of one match. It's like it's kind of like PlanetSide Arena.
What do you mean? So there's 20 teams total of 5.
Yeah.
So there's 100 players.
I'm saying the all-time peak players of the game is less than half
of one game.
like almost half of an entire.
Yeah, it's like exactly.
Game.
It is like our first time of playing.
Yeah.
PlanetSide Arena.
Now,
that was bad.
It's been out for a couple weeks already. It's been out, it's been out for 19 days, almost, coming on a month here. But again, it's free, so I have a hard time beating them over the head. You get what you pay for. You do. I mean, I'm not saying leave a good review because the game is free, but some of these reviews are a little bit extreme. Literally unplayable, it's free.
Yeah,
it's free.
Try it out. Maybe you'll probably pretty quickly find out why people aren't playing it.
Yeah, and you probably won't.
Give it a shot.
Downloaded this because it looked like a fun dumpster fire to F around with friends. Sadly, I don't got enough friends to fill up a 100-person lobby, because if you want to play this, you're going to have to fill the slots yourself. Dead game. Half-hour wait, no servers. 10x half-hour. Looks like good game, but no people. I love this game. The only problem is that there aren't any people playing it.
Yeah.
Guys, you should try playing it with friends. I do recommend.
I mean, it could be.
This guy's got, oh my God. This guy's got 34 hours.
So what, has he left it launched?
I mean, Jesus. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's a lot of time sitting in waiting screens. We could do this for Game of the Week and quadruple their player count.
I know. I mean, it could be a good game.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not probably based on the track record, but it could be.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, is like their other games weren't ridiculously bad, but it was just they were making kind of an open world survival that needs to have some sort of content, and that content didn't exist. So, I think with this, BR maybe is more the style of what they can do, because there's less details to them having to actually create a game. You just make it to where you fight against people, and they created the world. I mean, that's the thing, is just they put so much work into it, yet somehow War Z always comes up short.
You know what's funny is the URL for this game is playwwo.com/magnificent5. So they didn't even bother getting a new domain.
Yeah, so it's still under the but then they seem to they hide everything else.
Yeah, it's super
weird.
sketch.
Yeah,
the trailer looks cool. Look at this. I mean, look at this little montage thing on their homepage. This looks awesome. Now, obviously, none of this is happening in game. But this looks good. This looks fun.
Yeah.
This looks like what I wish Red Dead Redemption's multiplayer was, and it's not. And obviously this game isn't either, because there's 2 people playing it right now.
Yeah. One interesting thing, like they have New Frontier. They had WWO, and then they made that New Frontier, which was more of a survival game with building in it. In that, one kind of odd thing that they did is they made it to where like there were monsters in there, like big, just huge monsters and all kinds of weird things they added to it, but which whatever. And then now they have this BR. So we will have to try it out. We're not doing it this weekend because
no.
But maybe next week we'll get people to install it and make somebody's day.
I bet you it's not.
Somebody actually be able to queue a lobby and they'll be happy.
I bet you it's not that bad. I really do. Brian, if you could refresh for me here, your video is slowly deteriorating. While Brian does that, I want to quickly talk about. I mentioned that we're playing Call of Duty for our game of the week. I just quickly wanted to go over what's in this new Season 2 here. So this is Call of Duty Modern Warfare Season 2. They are adding they've added 2 new multiplayer maps. By the way, all of these are free, which is the first time that Call of Duty's really done this. They've got 2 new maps on here. Rust, which is back from Modern Warfare 2, and then the Atlas Superstore, which is a new map. Those are for multiplayer. For Gunfight, they've added Rust, and they've added a new Ground War map, as well as new multiplayer modes, a new operator. His name is Ghost, back from the Black Ops series, or from the Call of Duty Ghost series, rather. 2 new guns, and then throughout the rest of the season, they're adding new weapons, new operators, new multiplayer maps, and a couple of other multiplayer modes. They are, Brian, this is, without going all into Call of Duty, this is by far the longest I've played a Call of Duty somewhat regularly this far after
not
launch.
Dropped off. Yeah.
I mean, you're talking like 4 months or so that this game's been out now. COD's typical span is like, for people actually playing, is like 6 to 8 weeks. Once Christmas and the New Year's hits, it's in the past couple of years, that's how it's been. Once Christmas and the New Year's hits, it drops off. Now, I will say, the fact that it's playable on PC is probably why I'm still playing, because I don't, like, over the weekend, I wanted to play the fantasy. Are you familiar with Phantasy Star Online, back from the Sega Dreamcast days? They're releasing a game. It's called like Fantasy Stars Online Remaster or something like that. And they did an open beta on the Xbox. So, okay, great. I'll download it. I turn on my Xbox. 8 gigabyte update. I'm like, okay, so then that downloads. Then it's like, oh, the game is 70 gigabytes. So this was Sunday. By the time it finished, it was night. I was like, well, I'm not gonna play this crap now. So that's part of maybe why I'm still playing it. But it's available on all platforms starting today. Cool stuff from the folks over at Call of Duty and Activision Infinity Ward. Very, very cool. I'm really enjoying Call of Duty. I've been playing it almost every night.
And I've enjoyed it when I play. I mean, once in a while I'll jump in when I'm never on my computer anymore. But once in a while I'll jump in and play, and I've enjoyed it every time. It's less of the frustrations that I had with World War II. World War II I played quite a bit of, but then there was it never had that kind of smooth feeling that I had on like one of the previous Call of Duties. This one seems more consistent for me.
Agreed.
So I've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about another game that I'm just going to go through some games that are upcoming. Nisco loves to point out various games, and some that are maybe survivally or maybe a little bit VR. There's one called Another Try that's going to be released here in March. So if you want to follow that, but this is pretty much a post-apocalyptic survive type of a game. It's going to be multiplayer, and looks like it's kind of a low. I mean, it's not quite Unturned or Minecraft level, but it is a lower poly style of a game. But it looks like it'll be interesting. They've done a really good job with the environment. You can kind of explore the world. It will be somewhat of a survival type of a game. So here's another one to keep an eye on. It's called Another Try, and that one will be towards the end of March. That'll actually be released. Another one's called Withstand, and this is one we've been following a little while. But they put out a dev blog here, and you can add this one to the wish list as well if you want to. But this is going to be more of our standard survival game, early access. We've shown a little bit of clips here and there from it, but it comes out March 5th. So here in 3 weeks?
Yep.
About 3 weeks, we should expect it. They did a dev blog where they kind of detailed garages and ammo, and this looks like they're doing a good job. The environment looks really nice. I've seen some of the tests that they've been doing over time as far as the multiplayer and AI. So this will be interesting to see. One thing to keep in mind, though, this is a single player game. I know we've discussed this in the past couple of weeks where, is there, what do you think about single player games? But this is one of those where it is a single player game. So if you're looking to find something to play with your friends, this is not it. So
I'm not against single player survival games, obviously. What I am against is single player early access games that are going to be very hard to play in their early state.
Well, that's the thing. I don't see the point of an early access single player game, because how many times are you going to play through the story as they fix it and finish it? Like you play to the point where, oh, here's the end of the content, or they add things at various points of the story and you've already played through it once. It's not, if they're trying to deliver you an experience, it's very difficult to do that with early access. I'd rather have it. One thing that was very good about what's the one where it's with the cold,
The Long Dark.
The Long Dark, they did a very good job of, is they put out a kind of open world, just sandbox style, and then pretty close to all at once they went through and released the story mode that was very complete. I mean, they did do some bug fixes and things after that, but they didn't piece out the story mode and make you try to do it in 20 to 30 pieces. So I think they did a good job with that one. But if they're going to do a single player game, just get it out there. You could have people test and say, hey, if you want to test this, or maybe come up with a test environment. But man, it's just, I don't want to play the same game on a single player one 5 times.
Agreed.
I mean, I tried it with what was the one that we talked about before? We Happy Few. I mean, that was the problem there, is I was expecting it to be a full game. I get it, and it was 15 minutes of a game. But, they did a pretty good job of later actually releasing the real game.
Yeah. So. Interesting. Thank you. Thanks, Nisco, and everybody else for keeping the
we'll keep an eye on those, because those are fairly survival.
Yeah.
That's what we're always looking for. So,
all right.
Fortnite, they have released 11.5, and on this has been, well, first of all, they have a special event going on for February 14th. So it's called Love and War. And so if you want to do that, they have search and destroy missions. They also have new challenges they put in there, and then some various playlists so that you can do. They have been implementing some of the chaos physics system, and I don't know if you have ever heard of that, but this is kind of the destruction system that they implemented into Unreal here not too long ago. So this is going to be something where you'll be able to see things kind of break apart in a more realistic manner. So if we'll see how that actually starts to happen, because they do have a destruction system right now, but I think it'll just make it to where like pieces of buildings break off, and I think it'll be a more realistic, not just the whole piece breaks down. And then they did some bug fixes as well. They are working on an in-game reporting, so there's a video for that if you want to play it really quick. I think it's just mostly music.
Okay,
you can kind of show it in the background. It's only 8 seconds. But yes. They now have a way that you can go in and report bugs.
They didn't have this beforehand?
Not built in.
Huh.
Which is kind of surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah. You figured they would. Be easy for them. I think they wanted you, knowing companies like this usually want you to go through some sort of forum. And
sign up on our knowledge base and do this and do that. A bunch of nonsense.
Yeah. So that is, and I've actually been playing some Fortnite lately on my console. I've been playing on PS4.
Are you flossing?
No, I'm not flossing. I don't do the emotes even when I'm running around.
Really?
But I've been enjoying it casually. So
is this because you're trying to connect with the youth?
Maybe. I've played it with some youth, yes.
Oh yeah. Okay. Chilling. Well, that's good. I've always said this. Fortnite's a great game. It really is. It's got a bunch of great mechanics. It's just not for me. I enjoy it. It's just not for me.
And that's the thing is I enjoy it casually. Like it's not. I don't have the interest in going crazy with the building and really. I'm not trying to win. Honestly, I don't expect to win the game, but it's one of the better BR games out there, and I'm enjoying it, and it's fun to play with people. So
if you're not first, you're last, Brian.
Yes,
Ricky Bobby always told us.
It only took me how long to start really playing
it?
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about. Well, actually, we probably should do the game giveaway first. We'll start the announcement for that.
Sure.
Okay, so let's go ahead and open this up. Exclamation point giveaway in chat, and we'll do a 60 points if you've been watching for the last hour. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give away a copy of Middle-earth: Shadow of War, and I think this is a $50 title right now. This is one of their new ones, very good. But this is Middle-earth: Shadow of War. And I would recommend it because this is a fairly recent AAA title that's been put out, and I'll put a link to the Steam page in case people want to check that out. I assume it's on Steam. Yeah, Shadows of War. Yeah, $49.99 on Steam right now. Put exclamation point giveaway in chat, and you will be able to enter for this. And we'll give it away before the end of the show. Very positive ratings. Was released in 2017, and I recently actually just purchased it a couple days ago on PS4 because I felt like playing it on PS4.
There you go. We'll do that here in the next hour. So if you're hanging out here in the chat, hopefully you'll have enough cans by the end to join that. So, yes, let's talk about Dead Matter. They released a video late last week, and it is for their. It's another one of their dev vlogs, and the video on base value, or right, you look at it, it's like a 38-minute video or something. It's long, but only the first probably like 10 or so minutes of it is actually talking. The rest is gameplay stuff. So Brian, if it's all right with you, I'd like to play the whole update part of it because there's a lot in there. So let's take a quick look at this Dead Matter update vlog. I don't know what version this is. Vlog number 10, and we'll take a look at that, and we'll discuss right after this.
Hey survivors, welcome to Vlog 10. It's been a while since the last vlog, and we've got a giant list of changes to go over, as well as some multiplayer gameplay at the tail end of the vlog. Stick around because we've got a lot to run through. We apologize for the wait, but we assure you that it's been well worth it. Dead Man's Flats has received a polish pass and is now ready for an optimization pass. It's a town that's received a lot of love in the past and is essentially the first proper town to have been added to our world that meets our expectations of quality and scale. Dead Man's Flats contains quite a few unique locations in the town, including an apartment complex and a few motels for all of the would-be tourists that were once pouring in from Highway 1. We've been transitioning to a new level lead for getting work done on our world, and Kat has been doing a great job at fleshing out the world, as well as getting a large amount of the groundwork laid down for Canmore. Canmore is the single largest town in Dead Matter, and we cannot wait to see it get completed. We've brought on a new artist, who goes by the name Nahito, and he's done some amazing work on some of the art assets that really bring Canmore to life. He's also done some work on adding some burned out vehicle variations, as well as light bars that will be usable on the police car when driving it around. Nahito has also created a gorgeous sign that'll be placed next to Highway 1, the main travel corridor of our world. You know that you'll be approaching Canmore when you see this sign in the distance. Canmore is extremely large, and the outer limits of the town contain plenty of interesting locations, including the police station and some commercial buildings, as seen in previous vlogs. There are also plenty of houses scattered around the area that you'll be able to shack up in. While the main stretch of Canmore is still under construction, with many new buildings to match the aesthetic of the location, a lot of the buildings on the outskirts of the town are close to being ready for an optimization pass. An optimization pass is generally the last pass that a location sees when it is being constructed for our world. We've got some industrial buildings on the outskirts of Canmore, such as the concrete plant, as well as a large recycling facility. Both of these locations would make an excellent establishment for a hardy group of survivors. Nomad has been working on a gigantic underground mining complex, complete with puzzles and potential hazards that need to be cleared. The aesthetic of the mine so far has been gorgeous, and we look forward to seeing it fully completed, which should be around the time that Vlog 11 rolls around. Nomad has been going the extra mile in making sure that the mines meet our standard for world interaction, with a handful of scripted actors that he's prepared for the mine. Nomad goes through the mine and gives some of the developers of the game a tour in the gameplay segment of the video. Stick around if you're interested in seeing more of it. On top of the abandoned mining complex, Nomad has been taking some time to add a crashed commercial airliner to the map. This location is still a work in progress, but we plan on fleshing it out by allowing players to retrieve the black box, which will be detailing the fate of the people trapped on the plane as it came crashing down. I've implemented the first pass of the tool belt item system. These items are items that persist upon death. Currently, there's the key ring, which allows you to store multiple keys to different doors, including the trunks of some vehicles. The wallet, allowing you to store currency, as well as rare key cards that have access to high-tier loot locations, such as the armory and the police station. The inventory has seen a massive facelift internally. Due to the facelift that I've given it, I've had to implement every single item back into the game, and that task as of now has been mostly complete. Network traffic for replicating an item has been minimized, as the item data is now completely flexible and capable of storing any data type that we feed into it. While this has had the downside of having to re-implement every item, including all of the weapons, we feel that a game where half the time you spend is time spent interacting with items and gathering supplies, that the changes were well worth it. We've been able to rapidly integrate new features, as the overall pipeline for creating items is cleaner than ever before. Our inventory currently features storing items within other items, a dynamic weapon pouch system that grants additional weapon slots depending on what you are wearing, being able to combine items as well as stack certain items that have a homogeneous item data. We've also got in-world containers, and searching them is a requirement. When searching a container, you will end up making some sound that anyone can hear. Keep that in mind and plan accordingly. We've got our character mesh in game now, and we've got some clothing to match. There's a plethora of content flooding in to make sure that you can have a stylish survivor while exploring post-apocalyptic Alberta. We've got a firefighter outfit, which is easily one of my favorite outfits to wear while playing other survival games. We've also got a brand spanking new fire axe to go with it. One of our strongest goals for the closed alpha is making sure that every occupation has a matching outfit. If you're extra lucky and you run into the military vest, which allows you to carry many small items, as well as a knife and a pistol. We've also implemented some secondary animations for the clothing. Backpacks will now jiggle around as you walk with them on your back. Gunslinger has been doing some work on the AI systems in the game, including changes to how zombies approach the player. Instead of walking straight towards you, they'll now attempt to surround and trap you. It won't be easy to get away from them, especially if your legs are injured. Zombie hordes will also now split in half and chase after multiple targets. Our zombies also now feature some voice recordings from some of the people in our partner program, including Dead Matter News' Vivek, who did an excellent job mimicking the infected. Big shout out to Dat Voice Guy, Hanatonius, Saint Beard, and ZMZ Reloaded for lending their talent to our game. You can find links to their channels in the description of this video. Gunslinger has also been working hard on adding a new predatory animal to the world, the bear. He can stand on his own 2 feet, and you should probably back the hell away if you see him performing this action in the distance. Gunslinger has also started implementing a hunting system that allows you to gut animals and harvest items from them, such as their skin, bones, and even antlers. If the animal you've shot has a pair of antlers on their head, of course. I've done a large pass on our world interaction system, including a bit of work under the hood to maximize our networking performance. We've done a large pass on the curtains, which are a lot less ugly than they were before. They also use an efficient cloth rendering technique that Unreal Engine has made available to us. These curtains will block light, and they'll block player visibility, so long as you don't make the mistake of standing behind a curtain at night with the lights on. People will still be able to see you. In order to counteract this effect, you will be able to use newspaper, water, and glue to cover windows with newspaper. blocking visibility. This is essentially the tier 0 of barricading that we're offering, and there'll be plenty more to come in the near future. All building interactables such as flicking a light switch on or off, opening a cabinet door, opening or closing a curtain are all treated as a single entity underneath the hood, sending the absolute minimum amount of data to update their corresponding states without having to change any of the pipeline used to actually create the interactables. Based on community feedback, we've ripped out our old claiming system, and we're going to be re-implementing it with support for claiming a majority of the buildings in the game. You'll also be able to disassemble, or in certain cases, reuse furniture that is present inside of the buildings. The current rule of thumb for the new system that we're currently planning out is that your claim is only as strong as your ability to protect it. Due to the changes in our inventory system previously mentioned and how intertwined our items and weapons are, we've decided to overhaul a bit of the first-person animation rig to feel a lot more responsive while maintaining a realistic look. A lot of our new animation setup is completely procedural. Aiming down sights used to be animated, but now is fully procedural. This has a wide variety of benefits, such as being able to reload while aiming down sights, or checking your current magazine while aiming down sights. Literally any animation we want to play will work while aiming down sights and while your weapon is at the hip. We've also added the ability to switch between a scope and iron sights if the weapon supports it, such as the Lee Enfield or an AK type weapon with a PSO scope. Shiny has also been doing an awesome work with the weapons. All gunshot and weapon handling sounds are now properly attenuated in the world. Gunfire in the distance now feels right, and you'll be able to hear people's final stand from a distance while exploring the world. Our weapon system now properly supports different ammunition types being loaded into the magazine. This is best demonstrated when using a pump-action shotgun, which can accept buckshot, shells, or even flare rounds. You will not be required to load one or the other. They are completely interchangeable. Spread has been completely removed from the game. We now fire weapons from an approximation of the barrel based on procedural animations that have been added to the game. We've implemented quite a few of the backer weapons into our game. The new weapons include the SVD Dragunov, which is one of the most powerful sniper rifles in the game at the moment. We've also implemented the 416, which comes in a variety of different flavors. We haven't implemented the magnifier just yet, but by the time closed alpha rolls around, you'll be able to use it to increase the flexibility of your weapon. The 22 rifle that was seen in the last development vlog, which includes a 110 round drum magazine that I've nicknamed the Beehive, has been implemented into the game. We've also got a new shotgun in town, as seen in the previous development vlog. This 12-gauge boomstick is perfect for defending yourself against the infected or other survivors, capable of firing bug shots, slugs, and even flare rounds, which can be used to lure the infected away or towards a location. Shiny has also implemented the P90, a powerful bullpup SMG with a near bottomless clip, perfect for spraying down the infected or other survivors. Grenades have been changed to be a lot easier to control. You can now click and hold to release once you've lined up a toss. You can also click and hold with the right mouse button to perform an underhanded toss. You can also cancel a toss at any time before you throw by holstering the grenade back into your inventory. Shiny has been hard at work improving animations for weapons all across the board to make sure that they feel responsive. He's also implemented some new gloves and view model sleeves that will match whatever outfit that you are wearing. We strongly believe that responsive gunplay is very critical to creating an immersive experience, and we want everything from driving a vehicle to using a rifle to feel as immersive as possible. We've also been working on adding more civilian-oriented weapons to the game to make sure that people are commonly found with weapons that are more easily found in Canada. Stefan has also created a beautiful double-barrel shotgun. The over and under shotgun was one of the first weapons that we originally implemented back in our Kickstarter days, and we're excited to see it make a comeback. Rizzler and Stefan have also created an M14 for one of our boomstick tier backers. He's done an excellent job on the weapon, and we're stoked to see it implemented in-game. Thank you again to Markstrom for the support. We truly appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts. Vehicles have seen some additional work. We now have a functioning radio and a proper set of animations for driving in first person. The animations still have a little bit further.
Okay, I'm stopping it right there. Brian, Dead Matter, apparently, according to this devlog, has a functioning radio in the car.
Mm-hmm.
Why can we not be on the radio in the car? You can make this happen.
I could, yes.
I need you to send an email.
Okay, the thing is, we would need to create a special fake episode, right? Where
I'll do anything.
We can do it in whatever style they want to do it. Right?
I'll stand on my head if I need to.
Okay. So
I'm just saying.
I'll reach out to him and I'll offer. I say, would you like us to do like a radio, some sort of a radio show?
It's like Brian and Nick. Yeah, I think it'd be great.
Well, it's gotta be scratchy coming in. It's gotta be some like, however, whatever style. We need to match whatever they're trying to do.
Yeah.
I will reach out to him and offer.
I mean, we could spin some tunes. You know, we could be hey, and here's Human League. You know, I mean, we could
figure out how. Yeah, we got to figure out how we can get some music that's legally could be in there.
I mean, or not.
There is open source music that we could.
Yeah, open source music sucks. That's all. It's called.
Hey, but we gotta get something you can put in there. I mean, maybe Judd would be willing. I'm gonna put him maybe he's willing to mix some music for us. Make some music.
Yeah. Okay. Back to the video. I just wanted to point out the fact that there's a car radio in the game. So
yes.
Yeah, that's
okay.
Important.
I will reach out and say, hey, would you like a show?
Don't say would you like. We would like to do a show.
We'd like to do a show that could be on it could be whatever you guys want to have, however you want it to be.
Hey Brian, you're looking pretty good today. You want to be?
We don't even have to say Infection Podcast.
No, of course not. I mean, we'll try. You know, we might have to slip in.
Oh, there's Infection. No, whatever. We can.
Wow, what does that road sign say? I drove by so quick. It looks like it said infectionpodcast.com live every Tuesday nights. It happens. All right, hold on. Back to the video.
We now have a functioning radio and a proper set of animations for driving in first person. The animations still have a little bit further to go, but we're quite satisfied with the result thus far. I've also done a pass on all of our static vehicles in the world. Vehicles can have their wheels and tires shot out, doors can be opened and closed, including the van. Random keys will also spawn in the world that will be tied to a vehicle trunk, potentially unlocking a source of tasty loot for you to enjoy. It's up to people to figure out which keys hold more values than others, and we're excited to see people experiment with them. All the static vehicles in our world will also feature a unique, randomly generated license plate or set of license plates if the driver originated from British Columbia before their demise in Alberta. Keep an eye out for Easter eggs as we have vanity plate support on our license plate system. Disseminate has been doing a ton of work on the game's back end, as well as a few other features that have helped bring the world to life. He's written a UI manager that should help keep our user interface issues to a minimum. He's also rewritten the main menu and pretty much the entirety of our multiplayer backend. Disseminate has integrated a new weather system based on meteorology formulae. Everything is completely dynamic and there is no weather state. It is completely simulated and also takes the time of year into account. He's also done some work on integrating soundscapes that will be incorporating some sounds from our new sound engineer. If you've played The Long Dark, then you will recognize some of Dave's work. On top of all of that, he's also implemented a brand new radial menu system for the game, rewritten the voice over IP system, and upgraded our version of Unreal Engine to UE 4.24. I've also started some work on a basic admin system, which allows you to observe players, teleport to players, bring players to you, as well as send them back when you're done with them. Players will be able to type /request with a message into the chat in order to have a direct line of communication with server staff that are currently online. Admins can also kick or ban players from the server. If you like what you've seen so far, please consider supporting us on Indiegogo or our own website. Links are in the description. We truly appreciate all of the support over the last couple of years, and we are excited to play the game with our backers in the near future. We've now got some gameplay for you to enjoy for the rest of the video. Keep in mind we're still in a pre-alpha state and still have a few more months and bugs and features to go before you'll be able to hop in game. I personally promise that any issues that you may notice in this video will be cleaned up by the time you get your hands on it.
All right, Brian, I'm going to get my radio voice here. 26 minutes past the hour now as we're getting ready for, our radio broadcast here in Dev Matter. We got to make this happen, Brian. We've been doing this show for 5 years. It's time to, we're here. We need to be here. And you know how you get there? Be in a video game.
Yeah, that's right. That'll bring up our street cred.
I mean, when a local convention that we can't get press credentials for says, hey, you're not credible. Say, hold on 1 second. I'm in a video game.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Yeah, look at this. Like, here's a picture of me in. Here's like recording on my phone of me in the video game. I'm a big deal.
Yeah,
I do a podcast as well.
We've also been featured in cartoons. I mean, come on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, how could you not give us free tickets to your event?
Exactly.
So yes, I think that would be cool, and it would be perfect because the H1Z1 people sniped us on that, and they wouldn't let us do it.
Yeah.
But the Dead Matter guys, they seem more like our type.
Yes. I mean, they actually make things, and it's actually
okay. That's the thing. So just a quick recap there. The Dead Man's Flats are done. New City, Canmore is working on the outskirts. Mining Complex, which is the first time I've seen that. The Crash Play mechanic, which is kind of cool. It's got maybe a little bit of a forest vibe to it. Crash Plane, trying to figure out a story. There's a hunting system, which is going to allow you to slice things up and pull skin off and make probably craft cover or whatever it may be. That new shotgun, and then of course the in-game car radio, and the weather system too, which apparently is going to be based on the real time of year, which would be super neat. So yeah, huge update, and there's 19 more minutes of gameplay that I checked out.
And they're on the most now recent version of Unreal. So
I was going to ask you.
I always appreciate that. Yeah, 4.24 is the most recent, so that's a good sign. I always hate it because it is kind of difficult when you've integrated so many custom features into your project. Sometimes doing that update is very difficult, but what this tells me is that they are keeping on top of it, because the fact that when it's not that old, I mean, to be able to get to the most recent means that they're on top of their code. So that's a good sign as far as how they're doing it.
Yes, sir.
And they're not locked into too many other third-party things, which is where you really get locked up and are unable to then update, because you have some piece of code in your project that's a plugin or something. They haven't updated their code, so you're stuck without removing that. It shows that they're probably writing all their stuff custom or by hand.
They mentioned that a member from The Long Dark is on their team now, which is a pretty well-respected game you talked about earlier. So that's pretty interesting. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I'm ready. I think this is going to be a good breath of fresh air of a game that actually has taken the time and put in a lot of really cool features and done a lot of polish. I mean, there's a lot of polish. When I see those videos and see what they're working on, there's a lot of polish that they're doing along the way. They're not just throwing out a totally rough game.
Yeah. Look, I can't wait to play it.
So, yeah. So there's Dead Matter. Let's talk about Atlas here really quick. Atlas, I was hoping that they were going to be putting out a Linux fix. They still have not done that.
Oh, no.
So, of course, they tweeted Jat today, and hopefully he actually responds.
I'm sure they're right on that.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a top priority for them. But they did put out some patches. We went weeks and weeks without patches. So that we were previously on 402.6, and now they're up to 404.7.
Damn.
Of course, they did some jumps. So there's a lot of internal revisions, I think, happening there, because 403 does not exist at all. So they've been doing work.
Maybe that's a reason you don't want to release a 403 update. I don't know.
404 I'd be more afraid of, and that's where they are now.
Isn't 403 access denied or something like that?
No, 404 is what they jumped to. I think that they weren't rolling out
404 is a not found.
Yeah, not found.
Isn't 403 restricted access or something?
Maybe, I don't remember.
I could have sworn.
You could look it up. I'm assuming they've been doing like fixes and things internally, but not actually releasing them for some reason. Now the update that they've just done, so 402.6 previously, that was done probably either early January or late December. And then they put out a big patch for 404.5. They reduced the max player cap from 150 to 120, and then they respect all the players that were past level 120. The offline player character bodies on ships will now stay visible to other players on PvE servers and in free ports. So remember, they had made it so that players laying around on PvE servers would not show up after a period of time.
Yeah.
Well, that's a big problem in the free ports when you have bodies laying all over. But I guess they made it so that on ships, they'll still stay there, which I can't imagine that's got to be a horrible problem on on these where people are just logging out with their ships right in front of the dock. I mean, and you can't destroy them. I can only imagine. I haven't been on a PvE server for a long time, but I can't imagine that's pleasant. It's got to be a million boats just sitting there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, we had our way of being able to deal with them previously. They had a number of bug fixes that they're able to do. One thing they've done is they've raised the experience you get from some of the bosses in there. So like Kraken and Snowman, they made it so that in normal mode, you get 40,000 experience, 120,000 in hard mode. They've removed blueprints from treasure chests, useless items, scissors and torches and things like that. Added some other items. Just a lot of tweaks and changes, but we haven't seen any real work from them in a long time. So at least they're moving things around and actually making some changes. I'm hoping that they either put a lot of work into it and make it worth playing, or I don't know what they're going to do. But this is, I mean, it's not any major new content. They're pretty much just kind of doing a balance run here of, this spawns in this chest and this does this. It's not any new real content. So, and no Valentine's Day event that I can tell of so far.
That's a little disheartening from this group because
usually they do those types of things.
They did an arc. We'll talk about it here in a little bit. Yeah, always.
Yeah, so that kind of shows me that they're not taking this that seriously. The fact that they're not doing a holiday event in Atlas. So, but yeah, that's Atlas. Arc, on the other hand, has put out a decent number of updates this past week. So, so 304.455. This one, once again, last week we talked a lot about the anti-mesh system that they've been working on. They did some more improvements to that, just getting it to where there's less false positives. 304.456, they fixed a false positive in the anti-mesh system that was triggered when rock drakes pushed a player into the mesh.
There you go.
Yes, got a little rock drakes. And 304.457, they fixed an exploit where refertilizer and the anti-mesh system, which allowed for the destruction of an enemy base on PvE. So somehow people were using refertilizer and using that against people in PvE to destroy their bases. I can't even imagine how, but you gotta leave it up to our players to figure this out.
You're playing on PvE and you're like, I don't want to deal with any of this nonsense. And you log in and somebody's completely destroyed your base. And you're like, what the hell,
I know.
man? Like, what is happening?
Using refertilizer of everything. Like,
yeah.
What is it about refertilizer that destroys a base?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Leave it to the arc. If there's a will, there's a way.
Yes. So 304.458 fixed an issue that prevented dinos, chibis, and tribe members from getting XP if you were max level. And then 305.12, which is their Valentine's Day event. So they turned that on. This will run through, I assume, Valentine's Day. But they turned it on the 6th, which was a little while ago. But they did 3 times the rates for breeding is 3x. The rates for players is 2x for XP, 2 times harvest, 2 times taming. Of course, this is on officials. If you're playing on a private server, this may not be in effect. You may have other numbers. They added an event-themed wild dino spawns. They added a Valentine's variant of the Coelacanth. And they added chocolates that could be used to heal your tames or provide a big boost in acquiring new tames. And then they added some new items. So a Cupid Couture bottom skin, which is pants, a Cupid Couture shirt skin, a headband, teddy bear grenades, bow and arrows skin, which is a bow skin, and love shackles skin, which is handcuff skin, I can only imagine, and then 6 new pets. And they added a flirt emote. They added 2 events that happened before the chocolates and the candies, and then they have some special colors for the event, and then 2 bug fixes. They have a little video. I don't know if you want to play that here really quick, and you can see some of the new items that they've added in.
Let's take a look. tell you what, man. I love how they always make the theme song, like the arc, the arc music. They always match the theme. They've got somebody jamming out with the sax. I mean, damn, they do. I can't pronounce this guy's name. GG in the chat.
GG.
Yeah, says ARC trailers are top notch. They've always been top notch. They do banging trailers. They really do.
Well, I was gonna say, ARC has always been able to somehow make a trailer that in no way resembles the actual game.
Yeah, like this. This scene is not happening anywhere.
This does not feel like the game whatsoever. Like they somehow make trailers using all things in the game that somehow doesn't resemble the game in the slightest.
No,
like
none
that
of
never
this
happened.
has ever happened.
That would never happen.
None of this would ever happen.
People don't sneak like that in ARC.
No, they run around with no pants on. Yeah. It's just funny.
Man.
I
mean, they make these, but it's nothing like what the game actually feels like. Like that never will happen.
Sing a
That
problem.
will never happen. That'll never happen.
Oh yeah.
That'll
that would
never
happen. That's how you're singing. That will never happen. That will never happen.
Yeah. None of this will ever happen in the game. So enjoy the trailer.
But it doesn't matter because trailers are supposed to sell and they're supposed to be sexy. That's the whole point of it, Brian. You got to convince people to come and play. And that's what ARC does a good job. But it's not misleading in the regards of it's not all the stuff's in the game. All of it is things you can do in the game. It's just not.
You got to use your imagination. I mean, this is using your imagination in ARC.
Yeah,
and
there
if
you
you
go.
kind of take it to the next level, you're like, hey, this is what I imagine I'm doing in ARC.
Yes,
they're just showing you.
I like it.
So
big fan.
All right, so that's ARC. Let's talk a little bit. We've been mentioning this game a couple times now up to this point, but the Long Dark, they released an update 1.74, and this is a hot fix to their errant pilgrim patch that they did, and it's mostly just fixes. So they fixed an issue that caused items to fall through the ground when breaking down a nearby object, fixed an issue that caused some items to fall through the ground when transitioning between locations, added checks for the lost and found box to recover inaccessible items that were lost when breaking down an object or after a transition. So they put in something, and then it puts it in there for you to recover it. Added additional checks to the lost and found box to avoid moving invalid items to it. So that's that patch. And then there was another post that they put on there that kind of shows the different patches that they've done in 2020 up to this point. And they've done a decent number of patches. It's just kind of a thing saying, hey, we are putting out content. Here's what we've done in 2020 so far. So if you're interested in any of that, we'll have a link that kind of shows everything they've done. So that's the Long Dark. Very good survival game if you are interested. So Outlaws of the Old West. This is a game that haven't heard much of it since they did that awesome barn patch that we love so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. But on the 8th, they put out a patch. They said they're preparing for a hot fix. They'll be out in the next couple of hours. But from there, they fixed the server crash. They fixed a collision on River Rock, fixed explosives not spawning, fixed private chat text colors, fixed a hole, and then adjusted physics for coffee grinder and adjusted experience given. So then that was the 8th of last month. We never mentioned it. And then on the 4th of this month, they did their 1.2.12. And one thing they've been doing is updating some of the localization, so languages, and fixed a number of glitches and bugs and things like that. They did add an invisibility admin option, so an admin can go invisible. Anyone can now interact with wells. Just little things here and there. No major content though, so I'm still not sure exactly where this game is going to go. So I mean, as far as ratings, recently their ratings are very positive. So I think they are making improvements. They're all reviews are mixed, but recent is very positive. So hopefully that's a good sign.
All right. Speaking of another game that we like to talk about every time there's news on this program, No Man's Sky. They released a patch here. It's called Synthesis. It's patch 2.27. And the patch notes are very small. They fixed a potential soft lock with a weekend event mission, fixed a small visual issue with jetpack trails, and fixed a number of issues with the Japanese translation of the new Quicksilver items. So,
I wonder if they get like translators that are not, like somebody's doing translations for them that's not really good at it, or they're messing with them and then they make it say the wrong things.
Yeah, there you go.
Always wonder if that happens.
I'm sure it does. Yeah, like I would love to be one of those. I would love to be like a hand language interpreter.
Sign language.
Yeah. Sign language interpreter. That'd be freaking fantastic.
Well, there are people who have gotten away with
before.
it.
Was it during Obama's administration? Some random guy was up on stage just moving his hands around.
Fake sign language.
That's the greatest thing ever. It happened in Florida with one of the governors. That's funny as hell.
Yeah. Unless you're a person who actually needs it. You're like, I have no idea what this person's saying.
Yeah. Be like, what are you saying? What is he saying to me? Why is he attacking my family? But I'm sure a similar thing doesn't happen. But I would imagine there's not as many people that can correct errors that might exist, because when you're a United States development studio and you have a company or a person handling your Japanese translation, it's not like everybody in the company go, oh, that's incorrect. The grammar's not proper.
Yeah,
Nobody speaks Japanese.
Release something and people are like, okay, that's not what are you saying here?
So yeah, that's part of the issue, probably.
Yes. All right. Let's talk a little bit about ROE. They put out an update this past week on the 5th, and one thing they did is they enabled Anubis, which is a skin that they've done that's kind of going off of Egyptian lore. They also added Lucky Draw back in, which gives you some rewards. It's a special event that's going to be going through March 4th. So from February 6th to March 4th, you can be a part of that. Players can find the Lucky Draw interface by visiting the event calendar in the lobby. And the event is divided into 4 7-day stages. You can draw 5 times during each stage. Each draw costs 50 E points. Guaranteed 1 item from the prize pool per draw, and items already drawn will not be repeated. I like how they put already drawn items will not be repeatedly. But hey, their English translation is not that great.
It happens.
So they have a list of all the items that you can get the skins, and then they fixed a server crash issue. So that's ROE up to this point.
Coolio.
There is a video for Survive the Nights. I don't know do you want to play some of the video first? This is kind of showing off the 1.2 update here that we're going to show. I mean, it's 5 minutes, but it's pretty consistent showing content. So I don't know how you are on time.
Yeah, let's do it. Is there talking in it?
Yeah, it's talking. He's explaining.
Great. Let's take a quick look at Survive the Nights, and we'll be back right after this.
Yo, what's up guys, JT here. I'm bringing you the update video for version 1.2 today. This is our first major update since the Christmas holiday break. In this video we're going to be showing you the POI. I'm going to be talking about some of the things we've implemented. We're going to be running this format now where we just have some gameplay playing in the background while I talk about some of the features that we've been implementing. I'll also throw up some visuals as well to show off features as we're talking about them. So let's just jump straight into it, guys. So as you can see here, this is the airport. We wanted to give you guys like a really nicely designed area. We've added new features for this area as well, which include default and emergency lighting, tannoy announcements, and really we're just trying to make this area feel special. And we're also going to be trying to roll one of these areas out with each update. We may miss some here and there, depending on what we're working on, but that's the plan, is that we give you all like a nice area with each update. So the main objective in this POI is that it has an armory, but to get to this armory you need to get past electrically operated doors, which are also new, and to do that you need to power the transformer building, which is in the middle of the airfield as well. So you can go into the airport. I don't really show it in this video, but you can go into the airport and there's all emergency lighting in there. It's all red, and then once you get it all powered up, the default lighting comes on and the airport has some lighting. You can see here that we've added these yellow lights as well, which sort of pointers and indicators that you need to head over to this building, and they run on the solar lighting as well, so they're on even when the building isn't powered. Once you do power it, you can see here all the taxiway and runway lights are all on, which is a cool little feature. You can also see we've added these new gates as well, which are electric. To actually get a vehicle into the airport, you need to operate these gates, get the electric to the building, and then you can open them and go in. So what our plan was here, there's 4 of us. We got all of our gear together. We had some silenced weapons, and we're going to try and take the airport. We brought the RV in here, and we're going to go into these new hangar doors as well, lock up the RV, and then go and do the POI. Otherwise, we're going to come out, our RV is going to be stolen, and it's going to be a nightmare. So we pulled it in here. At this point, we obviously already had the electric on. It was nighttime, so it probably wasn't the best time to be doing this, but there was 4 of us, so we figured we'd give it a go. As you can see, it's looking pretty quiet in the terminal there. Our thinking here was that we'd place this propane tank down, and then we actually sent JB in to go and draw some zombies out. So he's actually in there right now. He's running around, getting as many zombies on him as he can. We're just going to pull them out and then see what we can blast away. So you can see JB's running here. He's like absolutely freaking out because there's like 25 zombies running after him. And as you guys know, JB is terrible at the game, so, you know, we're going to help him out here. So drawing the zombies out like that allowed us to get rid of a bunch of zombies right from the get-go. So now we're going to head into the building and start clearing it out as well. One of the things we've added with this update is those electric doors, and the zombies don't break through those. So you can't draw every single zombie out of this building. You have to go in, you have to get the power in, and then you have to go in and get to the zombies that basically can't get down, so you can't draw them all out. And that's something we felt was really important, so that you have to progress through the building. It adds difficulty because obviously you can't draw all the zombies out one by one. And it's just one of the things we've added in an attempt to stop players just drawing zombies off one by one, just to make the whole experience a little bit more immersive as well. Using melee now also has an effect on stamina, so that having guns is a little bit more of a premium. So you can see here that we've got through the first electric doors, and we're now going down to the armory. Obviously we know where it is, but this building is a little bit of a maze, so you guys are going to be going through doors and getting lost a little bit. So, I mean, really, some of the other things we've been working on in this update, guys, include locks. That's something that the community was hugely asking for. They wanted the lock mechanic to be just a little bit better, so you can now have multiple owners on a lock. So as soon as you unlock a lock or lock a lock with the right code in, you become an owner, so you have the auto unlocking and locking feature. There's a whole new UI for the locks as well, and we've fixed a whole array of problems that were happening with the locks. So that should make them just that little bit better. We've also added a mechanic which allows locks to be crafted, a weak version of the lock. The idea is that new players will be able to go into the guide and see that they can craft a lock. And now once you craft a lock and you place that, if you die and then find a map, that lock location will be shown on the map so that you can find your way back to your previous base. And something additionally that we've added is that you now spawn always within a certain range of your death location. So previously you would just spawn at one of the random spawn points over the world. Now you're usually going to be spawning within 1 kilometer of your death location. Obviously if you find a compass, get back to where you were very easily now. Other notable changes include all new traps, including a nail bomb trap, firecracker trap, and an air horn trap. These are going to be really cool and should just supplement the gameplay overall when you have your bases. We've also added a sawn-off shotgun, which doesn't spawn. You have to craft that from a full double-barrel shotgun, and it's obviously not reversible. I'm going to wrap this video up here, guys. As always, there's been so many things that we just couldn't include in this video. I'll link the changelog in the description of the video. Check that out. We've been fixing loads of things that you guys have been reporting. The user reports that you guys have submitted in game are so useful to us. They actually come directly into our workflow now, and it really allows us to shape the way the game is moving. So we look forward to seeing you in game, guys. Thank you for the support as always, and I will catch you in the next video.
All right, there we go. Quick little update there from the folks over at STN, and
yep,
rather interesting.
Yeah, I mean, they're putting constant work into that, so that's kind of nice. And I think that the ratings, like their Steam ratings, have been going up a little bit, so hopefully that ends up being very successful for them. So
yes.
Now Unturned, they put out a new map. I mean, they did a patch, but pretty much it's just putting in their Easter Island curated map. It's 3.20.2.0, and this one has pretty much screenshots. So I guess you could show that, but it's Easter Island. It's available in game now. They have some underwater relics and lava flow, and just kind of some cool things that they've added into this. So if you're playing Unturned, might want to go check out the new map they just put in. They also did some adjustments. So Rocket is included in the extras folder when several post-archival bugs were fixed. France is now available on the workshop directly from the creators. Workshop file download restrictions prevent banned items has been fixed. And then full screen option split into exclusive and borderless. So those are the changes along with the new map.
Coolio.
That's Unturned. Rust, of course, they constantly putting out changes, but they on February 6th they put out a post talking about modular turrets. Actually, I didn't put the video. Do you want me to put the video link in there? Sorry. There we go. There you go. So I put it there. But they have a video showing the turrets.
Yeah, let's take a look.
It's not very long, so.
Okay. Does it have audio? I'm sure not. No,
it's just
background,
just music.
Yeah. What the hell?
So it is a turret. It looks like it's run by electricity. And it looks like what do you have the ability to remotely, I don't know. Can't really tell.
Yeah, there does appear to be some sort of like remote control for it or something. Interesting.
Yeah, so this is the new turrets that they've added in.
Cool.
So, and what you can do is you can pretty much put any kind of a projectile weapon into it, and then it will use that weapon. So it's a base turret. You add a weapon of your choice. I assume you have to, load it up with ammo as well. It's like the M249 can do 100 bullets, Thompson can do 20. So whatever that weapons is. So that'll be interesting to see that in game and have people killing even more in Rust.
Yeah.
Also, they've added a life stats screen. So the death screen received a kind of an overhaul, and now it'll show you things like distance walk, distance run, damage taken, damage healed, time in the wilderness, time in monuments, time in base, time swimming, time boating, time flying, and then some other things with your weapons and the accuracy. So it's a lot of details with that. They've added Steam-rich presence, so you'll now be able to see when you're exploring the wilderness or inside a monument. So it actually will say in Rust like what you're doing at that time. Can you imagine this being used for negative purposes?
Only negative purposes, Brian.
I mean, because you're going to know that, okay, they're in a monument. So if you're playing on the server, it gives you a rough idea of where someone might be.
Yeah.
They said they've made it vague to limit the potential for griefing. So one thing they did to do that, they only show it in the menu. If in a monument, so it says it only shows if you're in the menu, in a monument, or in the wilderness. So it's down to those three options. They don't give any more dependent details than that. And you would have the ability on a server to disable it if you'd like. Now, for you, here's something you'll love. They've added the ability to install a MIDI sustain pedal.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, if you want to rock out with your guitars or whatever instrument that you're using in there, you now have a MIDI sustain pedal. You can add that in.
Let's do it.
Vehicle parenting rewrite. So there's been many bugs and exploits relating to vehicles. And so they've got to rework that to make it so that that's less of an issue. They're hoping that this fixes some of the issues that they've run up to this point. Of course, we'll find out as whether or not people are able to circumvent those. In preparation for vehicles and more extensive vehicles that they've been building, they rewrote the road generation algorithm to probably make it so that the roads make more sense and actually go around the whole map rather than being roads that go nowhere. And so instead of a spider net of roads that connect the individual monuments, they now have a large ring of a road that goes around the entire island. And then there's small roads that go off of that. They did large map optimizations. So one thing that they're doing, they're continuing with the optimizations to large maps beyond the current 4K map default size. So that's always good. You know, it's fun to be able to generate a giant map if you're going to be playing on a map for a little while, so you have a lot to explore. So in some, the improvements have reduced the number of objects on a 5K map by 20% and on a 6K map by 30%. It means that a 6K map now has less objects than a 5K map had before the change. So they're trying to make it so they can have a bigger map, but not have a kill performance. They had an issue, or a controversial thing going on here, but the vehicles on the horizon, they want to prevent people from blocking roads with buildings. So roads now prevent a building and a volume around them, so you can't pretty much build over a road and block it.
Okay. Quick quiz.
Yes.
What other game did this?
H1Z1.
Yeah, okay. It didn't work well for them either.
No. Another thing they're doing is skeleton optimization. So spawning and dressing players in Rust is a very heavy process, and that can cause stalls in the gameplay. So to prevent that, what they're doing is they're improving this process by reducing the cost of dressing a player by 25 to 30%, less garbage produced when dressing a player, and also reduce the cost of spawning ragdolls. So this increases the performance from the last patch to where it's been reduced by about 65%. So it should be much better. They've been optimizing the hit detection. So you should notice a difference with that. Horse armor cost reduction. You know, that's something that they added. I don't know how many months ago they added horse armor in there, but you should have better protection on there now. They limited the number of fireworks because people have been going crazy with fireworks, like we showed last week. Setting up beautiful 1 frame per second slideshows for the entire server. Wow. Because of how many fireworks people are setting it off. So now they've increased the fuse length for fireworks beyond a certain threshold, resulting in a maximum amount of fireworks at any given time. This won't be an issue even for big fireworks shows, but it'll prevent people from abusing the fireworks and pretty much stalling out the whole server. They also have added new server commands, temporary banning, message of the day, and spawning. They fixed freeze on quit, and then they've added MIDI file support.
Oh yeah.
So yes, you can just, I think you can just drop MIDI files into there, into a folder now, and then just play them. So you don't need about your blog.
I mean, no. Hold on. That blog's for something else. I got a whole setup. I got a software called Loop MIDI. I got a MIDI player. I mean, what the hell? I went all in.
Yeah.
I'm sitting over here. I'm using my controller here to control some. I mean, what? I'm getting shafted, Brian.
They're trying to make it easy on you. No, so
well,
now
they're trying to make it easy for all the other losers. I'm not a loser. I know what I'm doing.
I know you got this down.
Yeah. What the hell? Rust.
Yeah. So now they have a command you can run, and you can play any MIDI file that you want.
I do. So I want to cover something in chat here real quick. Firebomb says, "Man, come on, is Rust really worth playing? I need honest feedback." Yes, absolutely worth playing. Not even a question.
Yep.
Not even a question.
That's one thing about Rust is it is definitely PvP. If you don't like PvP, then you probably don't want to play Rust. But if you're into PvP, maybe you enjoyed the PvP that we did in H1Z1, then Rust could probably be something that you really enjoy.
I would agree. Yeah.
So, and then they fixed also an issue with crashes that were happening shortly after joining a server. So they have a list of the changes there if you want to go check them out. But pretty decent update from Rust. SCUM, a game that we tried to play however many weeks ago now.
Yeah.
I got in there and I was able to do some things, but Nick wasn't really able to play last time.
Yeah. So a couple things on here. They've reworked some what they call puppet stats for some.
Those are the zombies, pretty much the zombies.
Yeah. For that stuff, so they've worked on that, which is good. They've changed how some of those things work. They've added a weird mechanic. It's not even a mechanic. They've added an item. It's called a tree branch, and it's exactly what it sounds like. When you cut down a tree, you get a tree branch. It's a singular item. It's similar to a log, but it doesn't fit into any backpack, and you can chop it down to get long or shorter sticks. I don't really understand. I don't really understand what they've or why they've added this. Doesn't seem to really add anything. So they did that, and then a couple of bug fixes here. Fix an issue where dropped items wouldn't immediately be visible in the vicinity. Fix the bug where chromite would give you mostly water. A bug where torches would burn way too short in rain. Smoke grenades and flashbangs no longer disappear when thrown too far. Some issues with some recipes. What I don't see on here is fix the bug where you can't log into the server, and you have to use a VPN to create a new account. Don't see that listed in here.
I wonder if they fixed that on the back end and just didn't mention it. I can't imagine it still being an issue.
Yeah. So that is that's what we've got going on with our friends over at SCUM. Now we just talked about Rust, and I said that's a game that you'll want to play. I can't honestly say that SCUM is a game worth purchasing right now. Would you disagree with that sentiment, Brian? I guess we lost Brian. I honestly cannot say that SCUM is a game. It's not. I don't think it's a game worth buying. I mean, you're talking about a $30 game. Servers are like beyond screwed up. The game is just a disaster, a complete and unmitigated disaster.
I think it's at a point where it's still, the game isn't to a point where there's enough to do. I mean, just from what we've seen, the game, they've lowered the graphics quality down, I think, to try to improve performance, and I think it still has a little ways to go. They got to add in like an objective or something.
Or something. So, yeah, I mean, they got to do a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, I don't know why you'd buy it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that eventually it becomes a pretty cool survival game. I don't know what's taking them so long. Like, make it a survival game.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's got a lot of the features, but it's like they want it to be PvP so bad. They want it to be feel like kind of like Arma in a way. Just make it a survival game. You know, put more survival game elements where people associate it, and I think you'll get people to come and play it as a survival game.
Yeah. Yeah. So, no, I agree.
So that's SCUM. And then one other game, I think we've covered everything else up to this point, is Conan Exiles. And they put out a patch on the 11th, so just today. And they did pretty much a lot of fixes. So fixed an issue that was causing rubber banding, especially after using a map room or teleporting. Fixed a crash issue. They fixed 2 exploits, did some balancing of damage for certain weapons, and then a general bug fix that they did. So not a lot of content or anything, but just some fixes for Conan Exiles.
All right.
That's all the games.
Yes, I believe it is, which is cool. We don't normally get this far. So excellent.
Yes.
Would we like to go ahead and do a little current players? Look at who and what people are playing?
Let's hear it.
All right. So, why is that not working?
I believe in you. You got this.
There we go. Okay. Hi. My name is Nick, and let's talk about H1Z1. Currently playing, this number's down a lot from where it was last week. Currently playing 1,118. That's down about 700 from this point last week. The 24-hour peak, 3,264, with a 7-day peak of 4,953. So, unfortunately, not the greatest times ahead for H1Z1 in my estimation. Let's take a look at Ark Survival Evolved. Currently playing 36,841. The 24-hour peak, 58,006. And the 7-day peak, 77,816. Taking a quick look at Rust, 42,140 people currently playing. The 24-hour peak, 62,655. And damn, for their 7-day peak, 92,011. Yeah, these guys are just knocking it out of the park. Fantastic. Good for them. And then finally, let's take a look at Atlas. You know, Brian, as much crap as we give it, still a decent amount of people playing it. There's still about 4,000 people currently playing. The 24-hour peak, 5,224. The 7-day peak, couple hundred shy, 7,000. So as bad as we say it might be, it's there's still somebody
people
playing
going.
it. Yeah, I mean, it's still got now, and also it's on Xbox, which I think is important to note, because there's a lot of people that play on Xbox that don't get factored into that number. So there are. It's not anywhere. It's not as. I mean, it's got the numbers are nowhere near H1Z1 or miscreated. Yeah. So it's got that going for it. But in terms of the scale of the game, it doesn't work, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean that's the issue. Is it's not anywhere near what they intended for those server sizes and all that technology they developed to do that.
Yeah,
I mean the numbers don't match. So I think they had a much different idea of what it was going to be at this point than what it is.
Yeah, bingo.
All right, we ready here for tip of the week?
Yes, sir.
All right, and that's where I go through and either give a general gaming tip, or I figured since I've been playing some Fortnite recently, I would do this on Fortnite. So this is tip of the week.
I refuse. Brian, 2020, a lot of people are protesting. They're saying, don't do this, don't do that. What if I refuse to play the tip of the week intro? What will you do?
I mean, this would be 265 episodes, or 264 episodes. All right, so in Fortnite, just some quick useful tips to keep in mind when you're playing. First of all, the pots. That's one thing you got to remember. The order that you drink those shield pots, the blue ones, makes a difference, because a lot of times people will just kind of drink whatever's in their inventory. Well, if you drink the large pot first, that'll get you to 50%. Then the issue is if you drink the smaller ones, they will not get you any higher. You're not allowed to get above 50% with the small pots. So if you have small pots and a large pot, make sure that you drink the small pots first, get yourself up to 50%, and then do the large pot afterwards, and that'll get you to 100%. Otherwise, you won't be able to use it until until you either lower or get damaged, and then try to raise it back up again. Also, one thing that I enjoyed when I was playing is don't run up and loot everything immediately. I was in a building, killed a guy, a whole bunch of loot spilled out everywhere. I just kind of sat back because I knew some other people were coming to the building, were running around, and I just kind of waited. And as these people, they see this loot, they just cannot resist, and so they run in, start looting it, and I just kept mowing, and just the pile of loot just kept growing bigger and bigger, and people could not resist. And I got like 3 or 4 kills doing that. So that's a lot of fun, a little bit of a strategy, but hopefully that helps you out. And that is tip of the week. I cannot hear you.
I'm an idiot. That's a very
right.
That is a very scummy move, Brian. That's called
I
that's the old bait and switch.
I know. I was like, oh, there's because there was like a really cool, it was like glowing orange, because it's a legendary. It's like, oh, people won't be able to resist this. So I just kept on mowing them down as people would run for it.
So did you win the game?
I think I got second place on that one.
Wow. Have you won one yet?
Not I haven't played a ton of times, but I've gotten second place a couple times. I haven't got first place yet.
Gotcha.
So, all right, are we ready for this this giveaway?
Sure. Let's
all right.
Let's do it.
So let's go ahead and close the raffle and draw. Congratulations, Firebomb80, one of our longtime fans of the show. He actually has a shirt that says Infection Podcast. Hopefully this will give him reason enough to continue wearing the shirt for us. I gave him a copy of Middle Earth Shadow of War. So very good game, AAA studio. Congratulations, and I'm sure you'll enjoy playing that.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, hopefully you enjoy. And now if you're thinking, I want to win Middle Earth game. You've got to be here and be here live, which we are here every Tuesday, right around 7:00 Eastern. We do a little bit of a pre-show where we talk about, we come on, play some music, we talk for a little while, we get everything all set up and ready to go, and then we jump into the program. So hopefully you can join us like a lot of other people do here and be part of the program. Let's do it.
Yeah, and we always appreciate it. We have people commenting and making fun of us sometimes in chat, and that's always the best. We appreciate that.
A very good time. Always.
All right. Is there anything else we need to cover before we roll on out of here? We're going to be doing some Call of Duty for Game of the Week, correct?
Yes, sir.
And so this will be the Lonely Hearts Club on Friday night. Play Call of Duty. And then Saturday, we'll be playing some Tarkov. So maybe if you're out with a friend on Friday night, you can join us for Tarkov the next day, and that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. All right.
Ready to roll on out? There's no other things we need to cover?
No, I think we're good. Where can people find you on the internet, Mr. Robot?
All right. Well, if you want to find me at Boise Computer on Twitter, of course, you can check out my blog, biteoftech.com. Make sure also you go and you check out our website, infectionpodcast.com. If you notice on the right-hand side, it says join our server on Discord. One thing you can do there is submit news that we cover throughout the week. We also have on there a Steam group, so you can get notifications of when the show is going to start, so you can participate in those giveaways like we just did. Also, you can go in there and make comments, give feedback as we do the live show. If you want to watch live, you can watch through Mixer, through Twitch, or through YouTube. And also you can listen after the fact. We always upload, and you can listen to while you're driving to work or while you're working to one of the podcast forums in the lower right. If you have any questions, maybe you missed a video or you want to see it, you're listening, we have our show notes for each and every episode that we've done up to this point. And you can get that on our website. Also, we have, if you want to support us financially, Amazon.infectionpodcast.com, humble.infectionpodcast.com. And as you've seen, people have been giving us their Twitch Prime subs, which we appreciate. And you can do that by going to our Twitch channel. So thank you very much.
Alrighty, Brian. Thank you very much as always. Again, we'll see you Friday night for Call of Duty. And we will be back here next Tuesday for another episode of Infection. Alrighty, folks. Well, thank you for joining us for another episode, of course, of Infection, the survival podcast. My name is Nick Craig. Hopefully, that's the tip of the week intro. There we go. My name is Nick Craig. You can follow me on Twitter at Nicholas M. Craig. Of course, if you missed any portion of the program, you can check out videos, pictures, links, anything on our website. It's infectionpodcast.com. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.